UConn healthy. Look out for the Huskies. Oh, maybe not. Problems at Seton Hall in overtime here. A turnover off the inbounds. And how about the tap back? Scotty Middleton gives Seton Hall the lead. And Hassan Diarra's three from half court at the buzzer is just short. Shaheen Holloway, a huge sigh of relief there, maybe jubilation, forget sigh of relief. Just the second win in conference for the Pirates, 69-68. And UConn struggles continue here, slipping out of the top 25, and now a loss at the Rock to Seton Hall. All right, on CBS Sports HQ, Chris Honorado, B.J. Taylor. Help me understand what's happening with UConn here. I know Dan Hurley struggles as a head coach at Seton Hall, but this is a loss that, BJ, nobody would have seen coming.
Yeah, I mean, Seton Hall has been in the midst of a horrible season, to put it plainly.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the team that came into today losing 9 straight games, 6-18 on the season, and the UConn roller coaster of a season continues, right? For a team that was the most consistent and the best team in college basketball for the past 2 seasons, this year has put Dan Hurley through the ringer. I mean, this is a group that just last week knocked off the best team in the Big East, Anna Marquette, on the road, come back, lose to St. John's and the Johnnies at home, but then go on the road and knock off Creighton with Dan Hurley's pointing at his finger, telling everybody 2 rings, and then you go on the road to Seton Hall today and have what is arguably the lowest point of the season for a group who's already had some tough moments for the boys from Storrs.
And BJ, I said this team now feels like it should be back to its strength. Healthy. Liam McNeely is there. Caravan is healthy. And still just not putting together a full, well, forget a full 40. They needed more than that today. Seton Hall hit a 3 with 5 seconds left in regulation to force overtime here. So end-of-game situations, a real issue. And this is a guy, as much as we say we love Dan Hurley's attitude, has said, I'm the best coach in the game. End-of-game situations were a real issue today.
Yeah, and the hardest part for that is Dan Hurley can't play. Right? He had guys in the backcourt before when he had a Tristan Newton who was running the show. He was the guy who he could put the ball in his hand and say, look, take us there, Tristan Newton. Get everybody where you need everybody to be on the floor. And he just doesn't have that this year in the backcourt. Hassan Diarra comes off the bench today, plays well, double-figure score. Alex Caravan continues to be consistent. But all season long, the issue for the UConn Huskies has been the backcourt play and the backcourt production when it comes to putting up points and taking care of the basketball with their guards. 16 turnovers today on only 15 assists for the Huskies. That's far too many. Okay, you turn the ball over 16 times. You only force Seton Hall to turn the ball over 9 times. That's not a winning recipe. Okay, so Dan Hurley and the guys from UConn, this might not be their year. I hate to break it to UConn fans. I hate to break it to Connecticut, to Storrs, to Hartford and XL Center. I love the XL Center. This might not be your year, guys. All right, you might have to be in a little bit of a purgatory this season.
3-2 in quad 3 games this year. 3-2, just over 500 in quad 3 games. Huskies were 6-1 in those types of games the last 2 seasons. So again, struggling, right, playing 2 below 100% their competition.
Well, because the Big East is top heavy. Okay,
no doubt.
Marquette has a team that has a really good chance to make it to a Sweet 16. St. John's and what Rick Pitino has built down there now, what they're doing, they have another group that can make a run to a Sweet 16, possibly a Elite 8 with the likes of a Zuby Ejiofor, R.J. Lewis Jr., Kadari Richmond. They got the guys that can go. And then Creighton is still a top 25 basketball team. But once you get past those 3 in the Big East, it's a significant drop-off, right? We thought UConn was still kind of in that upper echelon 4. They're still firmly in the NCAA tournament as of now, okay, but they're definitely not in the upper echelon, the top 3 teams in the Big East right now. There's a bit of a separation, and who would have thought a year after being back-to-back champions that UConn is now in this purgatory, meddling in the middle of mediocrity in the Big East.
When you're a solid guard right? You're either the trigger guy on an inbounds pass because you make a good decision, or you're a good free throw shooter. You want to get the ball to those guys.
100%.
Let's look at the end of the game situation here between UConn and Seton Hall. Talk us through this. What happens?
Well, you see, right, you get the ball in a trap corner. That's never where you want to receive an inbounds pass. It's the easiest place for the opposing team to trap you and force a turnover. And then right here, now you're just in scramble mode. You got to get off a Caleb Love 55-footer near half court and just pray that the basketball gods are on your side. They were not on the side of the UConn Huskies today, but you're absolutely right, Chris. You never receive a basketball over there in the trap corner because you're going to get two guys coming at you. It's really, really difficult. And if nothing else in that situation, hold the basketball, have a little poise, be strong with it, look to split the trap. But if you can't split that trap, you got to outlet it to your inbounder who's stepping into the floor because you cannot turn the ball over right in front of the other team's basket. I had a coach tell me one time, instead of doing that, I'd rather you turn around, face the other way, and heave the ball towards the other team, towards our rim. At least that way, they can't just put the ball back up in and score.
Yeah, and you'll eat some time that way, too.
Absolutely.
All right, take us inside the locker room here. What does Dan Hurley say to his team after a loss like this?
You know, the hardest part for Dan Hurley and the group right now is he's said everything that he can say, right? Coaches usually have 2 or 3 different points in the season where they're like, look, I'm going to give them the rah-rah motivational speech that, guys, we're a good basketball team no matter what anybody says. We can go out and win. We can do it. People don't believe in us. Galvanize the troops. You also have the point in the season after Maui where they had a horrible showing out there by UConn standards where it's, look, I'm going to be on their behinds. I'm going to be on their butt. I'm telling them what they need to get better at. I'm just going to be that hardcore Bob Knight, John Chaney kind of a coach. Dan Hurley's running out of ways to get his team going and motivate them at this point in the season because there's only so much he can do now. He's shot so many of his bullets when it comes to motivating those guys in the locker room. He's going to be veteran players like an Alex Caravan, some of those backcourt veteran guards, even a walk-on at this point. Let the walk-on stand up and say something. A little bit of a Rudy moment. Somebody come in and give a speech and get everyone going because UConn needs it now more than ever.
Man, what an interesting turning point potentially here for UConn's season. A loss at Seton Hall. Here is what's left for the Huskies to, you say, solid ground to get into the tournament currently. Okay, but we've got a game at St. John's, and we've got a game at home against Marquette, and you see the one that's highlighted there just because you know we would after a loss like today. Seton Hall wouldn't have posed a threat at all in anybody's minds. But now, maybe a little revenge on the minds of UConn, sitting at 17-8. That's the rest of the road for the Huskies. So much more to do here on CBS Sports HQ. A beautiful Saturday of college basketball. And how about this? 1 versus 2 in the SEC. Auburn and Alabama, we're breaking it down.